from the TV30 studio, here's Jim Schneider.
Well, hi, and welcome to inFocus. We thank you for joining us here tonight on the broadcast as we talk about some of the important matters that have been going on. Matter of fact, just last Friday, President Trump hosted Zoran Mamdani at the White House. A press conference was held following their meeting together. We'll talk more about him in just a bit. But there's been a couple other things that have been going on in the news that perhaps we would like to take this time to inform you concerning these matters that are often neglected by other media. For instance, we first want to take you to Brazil. What happened in Brazil? Recently, they had the COP30 conference. This is the conference of the parties, conference to the global warming, the climate change conference. And this is their 30th such meeting that was just held. But we want to take you there because there was an artifact that was given, this so-called art piece from China to Brazil. Alex Newman from the New American and also the Liberty Sentinel filed this report, and we'd like to share that with you at this time.
Hi guys, Alex Newman here reporting for the New American. We are in downtown Belém and we're standing in front of a statue that was donated by the government of China, the Chinese Communist Party. It is supposed to be a mix of a dragon and a jaguar. They're literally calling it, as you see here, the guardian spirit of the dragon and the jaguar. It's supposed to represent the spirit of the COP, and so it represents, depending on who you listen to, the spirit of Communist China joining forces with the spirit of the Amazon and the Brazilian government to guard the Amazon and guard the planet. We thought it was actually a very appropriate and fitting symbol. You see the nice horns on the top. And we've said from the beginning that this really is a spiritual battle. It looks like a political battle. It looks like a battle over climate change or the environment. But it is quite literally a spiritual battle. And the Lord just showed this to us last night. You see COP30. This is an official part of the festivities here. Obviously, if you've been following our reporting for a long time, you know that the Chinese government is continuing to build coal-fired power plants. Of course, we don't hold that against them. People have the right to have energy. People have the right to develop and things like that. But what's happening throughout this whole process is they're using this climate change pretext to dismantle not just the energy infrastructure in the United States and the broader Western world, but our whole economy. They're using it to shut down our industries and move them over to communist China, move them to places where they don't have the traditions that we have, the liberties that we have, the constitutional protections that we have. And we thought this was a really fitting symbol, and so did they. There's been a lot of criticism of it here in Brazil. We've seen from the news reports, there's been a lot of criticism on social media. People are saying, no, Brazil belongs to Jesus Christ, not these kinds of demonic spirits and entities that they're trying to bring in here. And so, the Brazilian people, they're Catholic people. You may know the picture, the statue of Jesus overlooking the city of Rio, which for a long time was the capital. And so there's a lot of people upset about this thing here. There's a lot of complaining on social media. We're still trying to get a comment from the CCP. We've stopped at their booth. We'll continue trying to do that. But in the meantime, we just thought you should see this. So we'll take a little bit of a wider angle so you can kind of see what's going on here. What it says here is the commemorative sculpture of the COP30. It's actually in English here. COP30 commemorative sculpture, Dragon, Jaguar, Guardian Spirit, Keeper of the Tropical Rainforest. Here's the artist who did it, Huang Jian, as part of the Earth Art Garden. And this was described in the press as an official gift from China to Brazil. Of course, if you know anything about the political situation in Brazil right now, you know that the current so-called president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, who's quite unpopular, we have not found one single real supporter, and we've talked to Brazilians everywhere we can. But he is, of course, a hardcore communist. He admits he's a communist. He and his buddy Fidel Castro and the communist terrorists in Colombia and Nicaragua formed the Sao Paulo Forum to take over this whole region for communism, and they said so explicitly. Here you see this demonic entity holding the world in its hands, and of course we know that God is sovereign, not Satan and his demons. But a fascinating story. We really regard this as a perfect and very fitting symbol of this entire conference, and so we hope you'll share this, folks. You're not going to probably see this in most of the fake media in America. They're too busy worrying about the nitty-gritty of the agreement. Are we going to phase out fossil fuels and other such nonsense? Of course, they're not going to phase out fossil fuels in China. They're not going to phase out fossil fuels in the Arab world. They're not going to phase out fossil fuels down here. That's really just for the suckers in the United States, Europe, and other advanced countries that are at least still loosely based on biblical principles. Thanks, guys. Go to the New American. We'll have much more for you. And until then, God bless you all.
And friends, you can find more at thenewamerican.com. Alex Newman attending the conference. We interviewed him live in Brazil last week on VCY Radio's Crosstalk program. And just to let you see some of the goings-on behind the scenes in Brazil. Again, this climate change conference, the U.S. For the first time did not send any official delegation there. President Trump saw it as being a waste of money there. And some were very thankful not to have the U.S. there so that they could go ahead and pass what agreements that they wanted to without hindrance from the United States. But the last word we have is that it was pretty much a fizzle that happened there. Meanwhile, lots of monies were spent in. Fossil fuels were spent by people all over this world that were not driving there, but flying there, then driving on this highway to get through the rainforest to get to the conference itself. And truly troubling indeed. Wanted to bring that to your attention. We're going to get to the Oval Office in just a bit. But another controversy brewing across this country right now as some Democratic legislators have called upon themselves to produce an announcement to the military instructing the military do not obey unlawful orders. Here's a spot that was created by multiple Democrats and given this message to the military.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow.
I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community
who take risks each day
to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens.
Like us, you all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
And right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
but from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law
or our Constitution.
We know this is hard
and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
the Army,
or Navy,
the Air Force,
your vigilance is critical.
And know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
the American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws,
our Constitution,
and who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
So many are frankly puzzled by this announcement that has come forth from these Democratic legislators. What are you telling the military in this case? What are there unlawful orders that you deem to be unlawful that the president has given out as commander-in-chief? As a matter of fact, this past weekend, there were a number of news interviews that were done, even by ABC News, taking here a Congresswoman, Alyssa Slotkin, asking what she meant and asked the question, do you believe that President Trump has issued an illegal order? Listen to this exchange.
So let's talk right now. Do you believe President Trump has issued any illegal orders?
To my knowledge, I am not aware of things that are illegal, but certainly there are some legal gymnastics that are going on with these Caribbean strikes and everything related to Venezuela.
So what were they referring to? Don't obey illegal orders. Don't obey unconstitutional orders. Matter of fact, this has gone to new heights even today, as this story just came forth from the Western Journal. A Senate Democrat facing court-martial over video encouraging military personnel to defy Trump. And here's the story on the inside. The Department of War confirmed today that it was reviewing allegations of misconduct against Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona, a retired Navy captain and NASA astronaut. The agency said it has launched a thorough review under the Uniform Code of Military Justice and Federal Law to determine whether Kelly should be recalled to active duty for court-martial or face other administrative action. So we've got that taking place right now, and the chapter has not been finalized yet in this story as to what's going to take place. But there are a number of Republicans who said, we're not going to have this. We're going to create our own message to the military. Here was their response.
We must be loyal to the oath that we swore to stand firmly with America.
I'm Congressman Jim Baird.
I am Joe Wilson.
Representative Nick LaLota.
Congressman Zach Nunn.
Representative John McGuire.
Representative Keith Self.
Congressman Rich McCormick.
Representative Barry Moore.
Representative Rick Crawford.
August Pfluger.
Congressman Andrew Clyde.
Congressman Tom Baer.
Former Navy.
Former Vietnam Army combat veteran.
Retired Colonel of the South Carolina Army National Guard.
Marine Corps pilot.
Former member of the Alabama National Guard.
Former Army Special Forces Green Beret.
Former U.S. Army soldier.
An Air Force veteran.
28-year Navy officer.
United States Army. After my active duty service, I joined the intelligence community.
As a former Navy SEAL veteran, I want to speak directly to the members of the military and our intelligence community.
I want to speak directly to the members of the military and the intelligence community.
I want to speak directly to the members of the military and the intelligence community. Like you, I raised my right hand because I love this country. I believe in something bigger than myself.
That freedom is not free.
My oath was clear. Uphold the Constitution.
That commitment is powerful.
We all understand the importance of the chain of command.
Troops, listen up. Any service member who refuses a lawful order is subject to court-martial for violating the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
We study what's lawful and what's not lawful, and the Democrats stunt insinuating that they're illegal or unconstitutional orders. It's downright dangerous.
It is corrosive. It is meant to weaken our country and weaken the military.
Do not give in. Stand firm in your duty.
Protect the American populace from an enemy that would do us harm. That's the right thing to do, and that is a lawful order.
Your commitment to this nation is vital.
Stay focused on the mission, defend the Constitution, and remember the oath we took to defend America.
Remember the promise we made, so help us God.
So help me God.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Troops, thank you for serving. Continue to prepare for the fight.
So that the representatives, the GOP representatives' response to the Democratic spot about don't obey unlawful orders, but yet they will not say, the Democrats have not said what, if any, unlawful orders have come from the Trump administration to the military. That situation brewing even as we speak. Well, friends, we're going to take you back to the Oval Office from this past Friday, where President Donald Trump and also the mayor-elect of New York City, Zohran had a meeting together, followed by a press conference. He is a mayor-elect of New York City, reportedly is a Shia Muslim, also has accused Israel of genocide. He has refused to condemn the chant to globalize the Intifada that was heard constantly through New York. He refers to President Trump as being a fascist. He has vowed to arrest Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu should he come to New York City. And after all, that's where the UN is. And the Prime Minister has been there on multiple occasions. He has called for the defunding of police in New York City, which many are concerned about. He has been endorsed by Bernie Sanders. He was endorsed by AOC for this position as well. He wants to give free bus fares to everyone and free child care to everyone and tax the rich as a result and have them pay more, quote, their fair share. That's part of his pledge there, to tax the wealthiest of New Yorkers even more. He wants the minimum wage to be increased to $30 an hour. He wants, he's again a socialist, and he wants the city to own grocery stores and try to offer food on a less expensive basis. Rabbi Yaakov Berman, founder of the Jewish Future Alliance, said this: he's a radical leftist who tweets vile things about the Jewish state and shows no empathy for the Jewish community. Not quite the resume that's befitting to somebody just elected as the new mayor of New York City. Well, nonetheless, this past Friday, the president held a meeting with Mr. Mamdani and also then had a press conference afterwards. You may have seen just a few excerpts from this, but I believe it's really important that we see the whole of this press conference, and you can see the questions that were being asked, both of the president and of the mayor-elect as well. And there are those that are criticizing this, some that are saying that this meeting never should have been held at the White House, that gives too much credence to the mayor-elect and boosted his national visibility. So we're going to have you watch this. We'll later open our phone lines to let you respond as well. Let's go right now to the Oval Office of the White House last Friday, where this press conference was held.
Well, thank you very much. We've just had a
great meeting, a really good, very productive meeting. We have one thing in common. We want this city of ours that we love to do very well. And I wanted to congratulate the mayor. He really ran an incredible race against, a lot of smart people, starting with the early primaries against some very tough people, very smart people. And he beat them easily. And I congratulated him. And we talked about some things in very strong common, like housing and getting housing built, and food and prices, and the price of oil is coming way down. Anything I do is going to be good for New York. If I can get prices down, it's good for New York. And we've got them down, way down from last year. We have, as you know, I've been saying to a lot of people, Walmart said that Thanksgiving this year is exactly 25% less than last year. So that's good for New York, good for everybody. But I just want to congratulate. I think you're going to have, hopefully, a really great mayor. The better he does, the happier I am, I will say. There's no difference in party. There's no difference in anything. And we're going to be helping him to make everybody's dream come true, having a strong and very safe New York. And congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Please.
I appreciated the meeting with the president, and as he said, it was a productive meeting focused on a place of shared admiration and love, which is New York City, and the need to deliver affordability to New Yorkers, the 8.5 million people who call our city their home, who are struggling to afford life in the most expensive city in the United States of America. We spoke about rent, we spoke about groceries, we spoke about utilities, we spoke about the different ways in which people are being pushed out, and I appreciated the time with the president. I appreciated the conversation. I look forward to working together to deliver that affordability for New Yorkers.
Thank you very much. Any questions, please?
President Trump, Stephen Nelson from the New York Post. I've got a question for you and then also one for the mayor-elect. Sure. For you, you've referred to Mr. Mamdani as a communist. Could you describe why you feel that way? And also, will you do anything to stop him from arresting Prime Minister Netanyahu if he visits New York?
Well, we didn't discuss your second part of the question. And on your first part, I mean, he's got views that are a little out there, but who knows? I mean, we're going to see what works, or he's going to change also. We all change. I changed a lot. From when I first came to office. It's now quite a while ago. It's quite a while. My first term was great. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. We're doing even better now. We're doing much better now than we did even the first term. And I can tell you some of my views have changed. And we had discussions on some things. I'm not going to discuss what they were, but that I feel very confident that he can do a very good job. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually. And some very liberal people he won't surprise them because they already like him.
And for Mr. Mamdani, it sounds like you had a productive discussion, but just days ago you referred to President Trump as a despot who had betrayed the country. You said you'd be his worst nightmare and accused him of having a fascist agenda. Are you planning to retract any of these remarks in order to improve your relationship?
I think both President Trump and I, we are very clear about our positions and our views, and what I really appreciate about the president is that the meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers. And frankly, that is something that could transform the lives of the 8.5 million people who are currently struggling under a cost of living crisis, with 1 in 4 living in poverty. And the meeting came back again and again to what it could look like to lift those New Yorkers out of struggle and start to deliver them a city that they could do more than just struggle to afford it, but actually start to live in it.
And I've been called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting. Maybe I think he'll change his mind after we get to working together. Yes, please.
Mr. President, Anthony Marshak from MTV Lebanon. I would like to ask you a question about the Middle East regarding, you said that Hezbollah in Lebanon is not in a good position. And Lebanon now is the final unresolved after Gaza and Syria. Given your assessment, what do you say for the Lebanese today? It's the Independence Day in Lebanon. And what is your next move to push toward the disarmament of Hezbollah?
Well, we are pushing for total disarmament of Hamas and, frankly, everybody else. And we actually have peace in the Middle East. As you know, the King of Saudi Arabia just left yesterday. We had some great meetings, and he's made a contribution toward the United States of more than $1 trillion. We have now over $20 trillion coming in. No country has ever had anything like that, not even close. If you go to $2 trillion or $1 trillion, it's a lot. We have $20 or $21 trillion. I think that Hezbollah has been a problem in Lebanon, big problem. We're working with Lebanon. We're working with everybody in the Middle East. That's another thing I think we have in common. We want to see peace in the Middle East, and we actually have now, for the first time, peace in the Middle East after 3,000 years. And now we're going to refine it, and I think you're going to see some very positive things happen.
There is a potential to invite the Lebanese president to meet you to the White House.
I would do that, absolutely. And if the mayor would like to be here for that meeting, because I know he feels very strongly. I think you feel very, very strongly about peace in the Middle East.
We desperately want it, and that's something that I shared with the president, that when I spoke to New Yorkers who had voted for the president last November on Hillside Avenue and Fordham Road, I asked them why. I heard again and again two major reasons. One was that they wanted an end to forever wars. They wanted an end to the taxpayer dollars we had funding violations of human rights, and they wanted to address the cost of living crisis. And I appreciated the chance to discuss both of those things.
He said a lot of my voters actually voted for him, and I'm okay with that.
President Trump, I have this hat as well.
I'll do that. I'll sign it. Give it to me. I'll sign it in a minute. That's pretty good.
Mr. President, you've threatened to send federal troops to New York City. You both have differences when it comes to ICE agents in New York City. Mr. Mamdani, you've called ICE a rogue government entity. I wonder how you reconcile your differences on both of those issues.
Well, I think we're going to work them out, and I think that if we have known murderers and known drug dealers and some very bad people, we want to get them out. And the mayor wants to have peace. We discussed this at great length, actually, maybe more than anything else. He wants to have a safe New York. Ultimately, a safe New York is going to be a great New York. If it's not safe, no matter how well we do with pricing and with anything else, we can talk about anything you want. If you don't have safe streets, it's not going to be a success. So we're going to work together. We're going to make sure that if there are horrible people there, we want to get them out. I think he wants to get them out maybe more than I do. So we'll work together. We discussed it at great length. Yes, please.
Yeah, two questions, if I may. One for you, Mr. President, on BBC in a second. But first of all, for the mayor-elect. You're both from different parts of the political spectrum. You're both populists, though, and I just wonder to what extent the president's campaign style, his techniques, his social media use inspired any part of your campaign.
Well, I actually told the president that so much of the focus of our campaign has been on the cost of living crisis. And when we asked those New Yorkers who had voted for the president, when we saw an increase in his numbers in New York City, that came back to the same issue: cost of living, cost of living, cost of living. And they spoke about the cost of groceries, the cost of rent, the cost of Con Ed, the cost of childcare. And too often politicians are looking to lecture to New Yorkers what they should care about as opposed to listen. And when we spoke to those voters who voted for President Trump, we heard them speak about cost of living. We focused on that same cost of living, and that's where I am really looking forward to delivering for New Yorkers in partnership with the president on the affordability agenda.
And I think we have to work a little bit. We talked about Con Edison. We have to work a little bit on getting the prices, because we've gotten fuel prices way down, but it hasn't shown up in Con Edison. And we're going to have to talk to them. If we're sending them fuel at a much lower price than it was a year ago, which is true, we have to get Con Edison to start lowering their rates.
Absolutely.
And if I may, last week you told me you were pushing ahead with your plans to sue the BBC for up to $5 billion. You were going to speak to Prime Minister Starmer as well. Is there any progress or any updates on those issues?
Well, we get along very well with the Prime Minister. We made a deal with UK. I like him. He's a fine person. And, I think they have some big energy problems. They've got windmills all over the place. They're going to have to start using other methods because their energy is out of control. Talking about in the UK, it's out of control. And he's got that problem. He's got a big immigration problem, as you know, and he's got a big energy problem. And we talk about it. He's a good man. Prime Minister's a good man.
Have you had a chance to speak this week?
I haven't spoken this week.
Have you spoken to President Zelensky, or do you intend to meet with him, President Zelensky, about your plan? Are you going to meet with them?
I've spoken with their people. We have a plan. It's horrible what's happening. It's a war that should have never happened. It would have never happened if I was president, and it's a shame. And I thought they should have acted quicker. But it's a cold winter, and a lot of the you talk about utilities, but a lot of the big energy-producing plants have been under attack, to put it mildly, to put it nicely. We have a way of getting peace, or we think we have a way of getting peace. He's going to have to approve it. Just so sad, so many people. Last month, they lost 25,000 soldiers. This is something, we haven't seen anything like this since the Second World War. And they're averaging 6,000 or 7,000 a week between the two of them, dead soldiers. And it goes on and on. And I think they're getting reasonably close, but I don't want to predict. I would have said that would have been one of my early ones. I did 8 peace deals of countries, including in India, Pakistan. You could even go, in fact, they're coming here in a week or two, go to the Congo and Rwanda. That was 10 million people dead, and we worked something out on that. But so many. And the one I thought would have been, for me, because I have a very good relationship with President Putin, I thought that would have been maybe quicker. But it does take 2 to tango. And now you just see all the death. And, it doesn't affect us other than the fact that we don't want to see all those people dead. Really, it's on the other side of the ocean. It's a war that should have never happened. It did happen. I blame the person also sitting right behind this desk. This is a war that should have never happened, and it wouldn't have happened if I were president. But we're trying to save a lot of lives. They're losing 25,000 lives over the last short period of time. That's Ukrainian and Russian, and it's a shame.
What happens if President?
I want to ask the mayor-elect about a House resolution just passed overwhelmingly to condemn socialism, including with 86 Democrats, all of House Dem leadership, and the Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, despite his endorsement of you. What's your reaction to that?
I have to be honest with you, I focused very little on resolutions. Frankly, I've been focusing...
Condemn socialism.
I understand. I think the focus is on the work at hand. I can tell you I am someone who is a democratic socialist. I've been very open about that. And I know there might be differences about ideology, but the place of agreement is the work that needs to be done to make New York City affordable. That's what I look forward to.
And I want to clarify your answer to Stephen Nelson. He asked about your comment calling the president a fascist. And your answer was, both President Trump and I have been clear about our positions and our views. Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay. You can just say yes. Okay. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
And Mr. President, I wanted to ask you also about this Ukraine plan. President Zelensky said today that his country would risk either giving up a partner or giving up its dignity. There's been criticism that this deal proposal...
He doesn't like it?
It's unclear. He was sort of tenuous about it.
He'll have to like it, and if he doesn't like it, then they should just keep fighting, I guess.
The suggestion that he made, though, was that if he doesn't accept it, that the U.S. would pull back its support for Ukraine. Is that
well? At some
accurate?
point, he's going to have to accept something. He hasn't accepted. You remember right in the Oval Office not so long ago, I said, "You don't have the cards." Don't forget, I inherited this war. This war never would have happened. I inherited this war. And I thought he should have made a deal a year ago, 2 years ago. The ultimate deal would have been if it never started. That would have been the good deal. That could have been done too if you had the right president, but you didn't have the right president.
Mr. President, the cost of living is something that you and Mr. Mamdani seem to agree on. Democrats have run New York City for a long time, Mr. Mamdani. Do you see Democrat policy specifically as being a problem? And I'd like that be a question that both of you could answer in New York City.
Look, I think that there are many things in our city where we have to own the responsibility of it, things that existed long before the president was the president. And those are also part of the message of our campaign, was to take on a broken politics of the past. And I ran against a number of candidates who represented different versions of that past. And what we found time and again is that working people were left behind in the politics of our city. And what we're looking to do is put those people right back at the heart of our politics so that we don't have a situation where we're in the wealthiest city in the history of the world, and yet 1 in 5 can't even afford $2.90 for a Metro card.
Mr. President.
We had some interesting conversation, and some of his ideas really are the same ideas that I have. But a big thing on cost, the new word is affordability. Another word is just groceries. It's sort of an old-fashioned word, but it's very accurate. And they're coming down high. They were, we had, both of us, we had the highest inflation in the history of our country the last 4 years under the Biden administration. And we've got inflation down now to a normal number. It's going to go even a little bit lower than that. Katie, do you have something?
Mr. President, thank you so much. Mr. Mamdani often talks about New York City being
covered by international law, that they will follow international law. It doesn't often talk about the U.S. Constitution. What is your response to that?
Well, I don't know what you're referring to in terms it can be covered by international law, local law. It's covered by a lot of laws, but it's covered by U.S. law. Are you referring to anything in particular?
He just says that they're a city that endorses and enforces international law. Is that at odds with U.S.
I don't
law?
know. Would you want to respond to that?
I think what I've shared with the president is our desire to not only follow the laws of our own city, laws that protect New Yorkers, but also a desire for consistency in our politics across the board. And that's something that we've talked about and something that I know many New Yorkers want.
We work with ICE. We work with ICE then?
We discussed ICE and New York City, and I spoke about how the laws that we have in New York City allow for New York City government to speak to the federal administration for about 170 serious crimes. The concerns that many New Yorkers have are around the enforcement of immigration laws on New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs, and most recently we're talking about a mother and her 2 children, how this has very little to do with what that is.
Mr. Mamdani,
What we did is we discussed crime. More than ICE per se, we discussed crime. And he doesn't want to see crime, and I don't want to see crime. And I have very little doubt that we're not going to get along on that issue. He wants to, and he said some things that were very interesting as to housing construction, and he wants to see houses go up. He wants to see a lot of houses created, a lot of apartments built, etc. And you know, we actually people would be shocked, but I want to see the same thing.
Mr. Mamdani, anti-Israel protesters.
Yeah,
Mr. President, I wanted to know one of the policies as well that Mayor-elect Mamdani talked a number of times about on the campaign was shifting the tax burden for property taxes from what he called minority communities to white-based communities and putting more taxes on white people. I also noticed that in your acceptance speech you didn't mention anything about America or Christians or white people in general, and so I didn't know if that was one of the policies that you guys had spoken about.
We focused on affordability. We focused on the cost of living crisis. What I will say is that I am very much interested in property tax reform, because what we see right now in New York City is a system that is so inequitable that it can't even stand up in court. And the president and I spoke about the importance of not only building more housing, but also making sure that regulation of housing is something that is manageable to actually get through and not the cause of yet another weight that we see in our city.
But to be clear, you're continuing this idea of race-based property taxes.
No, to be very clear,
that's what you said.
No, the use of the term was a description of neighborhoods, not a description of intent.
So you intend to tax the whiter neighborhoods more?
No, we intend to create a fair property tax system because we want a New York City that is not only fair and equitable, but also one that every New Yorker can afford.
Please go ahead.
Mr. Mamdani, anti-Israel protesters just targeted a synagogue in New York. Are you concerned about Jewish New Yorkers feeling welcome and safe in the city? And President Trump, you've threatened to cut off federal funding to New York City. What policies would prompt you to do that? Would that be city-run grocery stores? Would it be something else?
Well, I think if we didn't get along, whether it's cut off or just make it a little bit difficult or not give as much, we want to see, I use the term, we don't want good money going after bad, and we don't want that to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I did say that, subject to what policies are being said. We had a meeting today that actually surprised me. He wants to see no crime. He wants to see housing being built. He wants to see rents coming down, all things that I agree with. Now, we may disagree how we get there. The rent coming down, I think one of the things I really gleaned very much today, he'd like to see him come down, ideally, by building a lot of additional housing. Yeah. That's the ultimate way. He agrees with that, and so do I. But if I read the newspapers and the stories, I don't hear that. But I heard him say it today, and I think that's a very positive step. No, I don't expect. I expect to be helping him, not hurting him. A big help, because I want New York City to be great. Look, I love New York City. It's where I come from. I spent a lot of years there. Now I'm right here. We took a big setback with the mayor that we had, Dame de Blasio. I thought it was a tremendous setback for the city. I think this mayor can do some things that are going to be really great.
Mr. President. Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. You're a billionaire. You have a different address nowadays than you used to, but you used to call New York City home. Would you feel comfortable living in New York City under a Mamdani administration?
Yeah, I would. I really would. Especially after the meeting. Absolutely.
What makes you comfortable?
We agree on a lot more than I would have thought. I think I want him to do a great job, and we'll help him do a great job. You know, he may have different views, but in many ways, you know, we were discussing when Bernie Sanders was out of the race, I picked up a lot of his votes, and people had no idea because he was strong on not getting ripped off in trade and lots of the things that I've practiced and been very successful on. Tariffs, a lot of things. Bernie Sanders and I agreed on much more than people thought. And when he was put out of the race, I think quite unfairly, if you want to know the truth, many of the Bernie Sanders voters voted for me. And I felt very comfortable, frankly, in seeing that and saying that. And, you know, it just turned out to be a statistical truth. But no, I feel very comfortable. I would feel very, very comfortable being in New York, and I think much more so after the meeting. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a question for you, but a very quick one for the mayor. Why did you fly here? Aren't trains greener?
I'll use every form of transit, and I want to make sure that they're all affordable in New York City, and that's why making buses fast and free is a centerpiece of our campaign.
There is a bus that goes.
Well, but I know, but if he flew, that's a lot quicker too. No. You know, I mean, he's working very hard. For him to be, that's a very long drive. I'll stick up for you. You know, the plane takes you 30 minutes and driving takes you a long
Mr.
time.
President, I was wondering if you could clear up some confusion around a Washington Post report. There was this explosive report that the Coast Guard is no longer going to characterize swastikas and nooses as hate symbols. DHS called that a lie and fake news. Can you clear up?
I don't know anything about it. When was this written?
I think yesterday.
Well, look, the Coast Guard's an incredible group of people. I know them very well. We just ordered a lot of new Coast Guard cutters, beautiful, the most magnificent ship. They look like yachts with lots of guns on them. So I don't know, I haven't seen any report like that, but certainly we want them to remain a great force, and they are.
Peacemaker, and you did a piece in all the 9 months around the world. I would like to ask Mr. Mamdani, you've accused the U.S. government of committing genocide in Gaza while President Trump was working on peace. Why that?
I've spoken about the Israeli government committing genocide, and I've spoken about our government funding it. And I shared with the president in our meeting about the concern that many New Yorkers have of wanting their tax dollars to go towards the benefit of New Yorkers and their ability to afford basic dignity. And what we see right now is we're in the 9th consecutive year of more than 100,000 school children being homeless in our city. And there's a desperate need not only for the following of human rights, but also the following through on the promises we've made New Yorkers. And I appreciated the meeting we had and the work that we can do.
Do you agree that President Trump did do a peace and he worked hard to make the peace because he worked hard to do the peace in the Middle East and everywhere? Do you agree with that?
I appreciate all efforts towards peace, and I shared with President Trump that when I spoke to Trump voters on Hillside Avenue, including one of whom was a pharmacist that spoke about how President Trump's father actually went to that pharmacy not too far from Jamaica Estates, that people were tired of seeing our tax dollars fund endless wars. And I also believe that we have to follow through on the international human rights, and I know that still today those are being violated, and that continues to be work that has to be done no matter where we're speaking of.
Mr. President, thank you, Mr. President. Do you view the mayor-elect as the true leader of the Democrat Party? And do you think Leader Schumer's and Leader Jeffries, have to follow his lead?
Well, look, I hope they have great leaders. This is a man that right now I think is focused in New York City. I really think he has a chance to do a great job. We're going to help him, but I really think he has a chance to do a great job. But I'll let you answer that. You consider yourself the leader of the Democrats. I think it's more appropriate for him.
I consider myself the next mayor of New York City, and I keep my horizons firmly on New York City, and I appreciate the meeting with the president, which focused again on the 5 boroughs and whether New Yorkers could afford to live there.
By the way, being the mayor of New York City is a big deal.
Absolutely.
I always said, one of the things I would have loved to be someday is the mayor of New York City. Being the mayor of New York, and especially now, because I think you're at really a turning point, one way or the other. It could go great, or it can go in a different direction. And I think you really have a chance to make it great.
Mr. President, you say you love New York City. Mr. Mamdani, does New York City love President Trump?
New York City loves a future that is affordable. And I can tell you that there were more New Yorkers who voted for President Trump in the most recent presidential election because of that focus on cost of living. And I'm looking forward to working together to deliver on that affordability agenda.
I got a lot of votes. One more. Go ahead. One or two more. Go ahead.
I
I tell you, the press has eaten this thing up. You know, I've had a lot of meetings with the heads of major countries. Nobody cared. This meeting that you people have gone crazy. You know, outside you have hundreds of people waiting. This is just a small little group. For some reason, the press has found this to be a very interesting meeting. The biggest people in the world, they come over from countries nobody cares. But they did care about this meeting, and it was a great meeting. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. President, I was going to ask you exactly that. Why do you think there's so much more, so much excitement around this than even some foreign leaders?
Because I think he's different. All right? I think he's different, and that can be in a very positive way, but I think he's different than, your typical guy, runs, wins, becomes mayor maybe, and nothing exciting. Because he has a chance to really do something great for New York. New York is at a very critical point. And he does need the help of the federal government to really succeed, and we're going to be helping him. But he's different than, your average candidate. He came out of nowhere. I said he has a great campaign manager standing over there. He came out of nowhere. What'd you start off at 1 or 2? And then I watched. I said, who is this guy? He was at 1, then he was at 3, then he was at 5, then he was at 9. Then he went up to 17. I said, that's getting a little bit interesting, right? And then all of a sudden he wins a primary that nobody expected he was going to win. It's a great tribute. I mean, it's an amazing thing that he did.
And I'll just add one thing to what the president said. Is one thing I also appreciated is in our meeting to appreciate a portrait of FDR and the incredible work that was done with the New Deal, and also in thinking about what it can look like when the federal government and New York City government work together to deliver on affordability. It can be transformative.
We have a great portrait of FDR that I found in the vaults that was missing for years. I found it, and I put it up. He's a Democrat, to the best of my knowledge. He's a Democrat. And when the mayor saw that portrait, he said, "Sir, do you mind if I have a picture taken by that portrait?" It's an amazing portrait. I hope the picture comes out good. But it's an amazing portrait in the cabinet room. So he's a big fan of the New Deal, I guess, and of FDR. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. President. You said that you both spoke about crime. There are many police officers set to come off the rolls at the end of this year in New York City. Are you going to allow those police to be replaced with police officers, actual cops? And are you going to require that happens? Would there be some consequence if the staff...
I hope it happens, but again, that's going to be ultimately the mayor's decision.
What's your answer?
Is that I look forward to delivering public safety with the NYPD, and I've said over the course of our campaign that we have the number of police officers today. They are the ones that's budgeted about 35,000 head count. And I think the key thing is that we have to make it easier for police to focus on police work, not ask them to respond to 200,000 mental health calls a year.
So is that a reduction from what you're at right now? Or are you committing to maintaining the same level of cops?
I've committed over the course of the campaign to maintain the 35,000. That's the head count that we had through the campaign.
And not replace them with caseworkers, social workers?
No, I've said that's the head count that we want. What we need to do is make sure they can focus on serious crime.
And he just retained a great police commissioner, I believe, right?
Yes, we did. Commissioner Tisch.
If the newspapers are correct.
That one they're correct about.
He retained, I think, somebody that is she's a good friend of some of the people in my family, of Ivanka, and they say she's really good, really competent, and he just retained her, so that's a good sign.
Mr. President, are there still topics that you see the two of you disagreeing on in the future, and do you think you'll have more meetings like this?
There will be topics that we disagree on. I think we'll probably come to a conclusion, and ultimately he'll convince me, or I'll convince him. It's for the good of New York. Ultimately, it's for the good of New York. I don't care about affiliations or parties or anything else. I want to see if this city could be unbelievable, if he could be a spectacular success, I'd be very happy.
Do you think you guys will meet more in the future, too?
Excuse?
Do you think you'll meet again in the future, throughout the administration?
I think we will. I hope we do. I enjoyed the meeting. We had a great meeting. Please.
Mr. President, Republican Elise Stefanik has campaigned multiple times by calling Trump-Mamdani a jihadist. Do you think you're standing next to a jihadist right now in the Oval Office?
No, I don't, but she's out there campaigning, and, you say things sometimes in a campaign.
Isn't that sort of...
She's a very capable person. But you really have to ask her about that. But no, I don't particularly. I think I met with a man who's a very rational person. I met with a man who really wants to see New York be great again. And I can say again, because New York was great. You know, when I came down to Washington initially, the city was so hot. It was doing great. We were having some telltale signs of problems. We had a mayor that was not doing a great job, but still, it was moving along. And it went bad. It really went, pretty bad. And I think it's been at lower points, but it went pretty bad. I think he can bring it back. Now, the question is, will he bring it back all the way? Will he bring it back greater than ever before, which is, I guarantee, that's his wish. I think he wants to make it greater than ever before. And if he can, we'll be out there cheering. I'll be cheering for him. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody.
You chose not to answer the question about sitting on for
Thank you very much.
I care very deeply about Jewish safety, and I look forward to rooting out anti-Semitism across the 5 boroughs and protecting Jewish New Yorkers and every New Yorker who calls City Hall.
Thank you for asking. Keep moving, guys.
Okay, there you have it. The press conference that took place inside the Oval Office at the White House this past Friday. And certainly you saw the reaction, the questions that were given there, and reporters were very blunt in the questions that they asked. A couple of responses here from Newsmax.com. This is the former Mayor Rudy Giuliani, who said to Newsmax, hosting Mamdani is smart, but it makes me sick. He said, he mentioned Friday that President Trump made a smart political move by hosting New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani to the Oval Office. He added, though, that the meeting made him sick to his stomach. He mentioned that he agreed that Trump's move was partly meant to reassure New York business owners who may be uneasy about a Democratic socialist taking the reins. Giuliani said the meeting shifts the burden of maintaining a constructive relationship squarely on Mamdani. Now, any deterioration of the relationship will be by the communist and Islamic extremist sympathizer, not by the president. All of that doesn't belie the fact that it makes me sick to my stomach to see that man in the Oval Office, Giuliani said, referring to Mamdani. And then also here in the next article, this is from Robert Spencer at Jihad Watch, who indicates that President Trump should have politely declined to invite him and suggested instead that in the next few months after Mamdani assumes the office, that they would meet in New York, perhaps at Trump Tower, by inviting him to the White House and then having their meeting in the Oval Office televised. Trump had boosted Mamdani's national visibility, his perceived importance, and his political clout. He also makes mention, Trump is asked about New York, Elise Stefanik's accusation that Mamdani is a jihadist, and whether Trump agrees with that characterization. And we find out from there that the article goes on, no, I don't, but she's out there campaigning. You say things sometimes during campaign. I met with a man who's a very rational person. Later he said, I met with a man who's a very rational person. Said that a couple times. I'll be cheering for him. So you have those that are critical of the president in this, and also those who are saying, no, this was an important move for him to make, showing his dominance in all of this. I'd like to hear what you have to say on this issue, your response to this press conference being held at the White House, and how you interpreted that as a viewer. Our phone number here tonight, 414-935-3030. 414-935-3030. Toll free, you can reach us at 800-733-8830. That's 800-733-8830. What's your response to this? Are you concerned? Are you concerned where New York City is headed right now under one who is a self-described Democratic socialist and proud of it? 414-935-3030 is our number, or toll free 800-733-8830. If you'd like to text in your response, just send your first name and the city that you're texting from, and you may text 414-459-9638. That's 414-459-9638 to text in your response here this evening. But would like to hear from you this evening, as this is going to have a significant take here upon New York City. I mean, this is a city that we have seen be the financial capital of the United States of America. And already we understand that there are many that are moving out of the area, are moving to neighboring New Jersey, some moving down to Texas, some to Florida as well. and the impact that is going to be felt there financially as the wealthy are sought to be taxed further by Mr. Mamdani, and then also to provide free bus transportation, free child care for all, raise the minimum wage to some $30 an hour. Also that to see he's criticized the role of the police in the city and has often said to defund the police. So these are some of the aspects, and you're viewing this here tonight and would like to hear your reaction. 414-935-3030 is our number, or 800-733-8830. And to text in your response, simply put in your first name and your city and text 414-459-9638. Here is an article that was on the Christian Post as it pertains to this meeting, and it says Trump strikes friendly tone with NYC Mayor-elect Mamdani in Oval Office, saying we agreed a lot. President Trump and New York City Mayor-elect Mamdani struck a conciliatory tone during a Friday meeting at the White House, stressing their shared concern for New Yorkers and their skyrocketing cost of living. We also see here that the President Trump downplayed the harsh rhetoric that they hurl at each other during the mayoral campaign. The president said, we agreed a lot, more than I would have thought, and also mentioned Mr. Mamdani thanked Trump for hosting the meeting and noted that while they disagree on much, he and the president saw an eye to eye in helping the people of Trump's hometown, while Mamdani described as a piece of shared admiration and love. So that issue taking place there, that is the Christian Post take on that story. We'd like to know what your take is on this meeting that took place and your observations for New York City. If you were a resident of New York City, would you feel comfortable under Mayor Zoran Mamdani? Again, our line is available, 414-935-3030. Toll free, the number is 800-733-8830. Or you can text in your message here tonight, 414-459-9638. There are going to certainly be some significant changes taking place to New York. We have seen this to be a sanctuary city for those who have entered the country illegally, and it is such that it is that which we don't anticipate that there is going to be any level of cooperation for immigration and customs enforcement taking place in New York City. How Mr. Mamdani handles that aspect is going to be seen when his new administration takes effect. So that matter is yet to be unfolded here for the city itself. I'd like to also make mention, this came up during the press conference as well, that there was a vote that took place last Friday as it pertains to the matter of socialism. And this is the headline from Fox News. 86 Dems vote with Republicans to condemn socialism in wake of Mamdani's mayoral victory. That's the headline there. And we have here the House of Representatives overwhelmingly voted in favor of a resolution condemning socialism Friday morning, with several Democrats crossing the aisle to rebuke socialist policies in the U.S. following Zoran Mamdani's recent election in the mayor-elect of New York City. 86 Democrats joined Republicans in supporting the measure, 285 to 98. Doesn't it speak volumes, friends, that 98 congressmen did not condemn socialism? We have a constitutional republic. Could it be that that many are seeking to undermine the Constitution of the United States, finding to put forth a platform that promotes socialism instead of the framework that we have as a Constitution itself? So I believe that is a very critical vote that took place, and perhaps a surprising response that took place from individuals who did not, want to condemn socialism here across these United States of America. Something else I think it's also important that we point out as to the elections that were just held across the United States. This was an off-year election, but this is coming from the Council on American Islamic Relations. Usama Dakdak would call them Hamas Care. Unindicted indicted co-conspirator of the Holy Land Foundation trial. But here, CARE is their action is congratulating 38 Muslim election winners. They reported at least 76 Muslim candidates ran for office nationwide. 38 won the election, and the race that this goes on to declare on statewide and the legislative winners, there were four that were there. The Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. We also have the Virginia House of Delegates position, a couple individuals there that are Muslim, and then also New Jersey General Assembly. On the mayoral side of things, there were 5 winners, winners for the from the Muslim community, and these included places such as New York City, which we just saw the mayor-elect speak there, Dearborn, Michigan, Dearborn Heights, Michigan, College Park, Maryland, and also the mayor of East Orange, New Jersey. And then also in the city and town council and commissioner winners, 19 that were part of those winners. We also have from the judicial and county office winners, there were 2 for the Franklin County Municipal Court judge in Ohio. Also another judge that won in New York Supreme Court. There was the education and school board winners, 7 different individuals. And then at the time of the printout here, there were several other races that were too close to call. It's very interesting that out of this election, there were 76 Muslim candidates, 38 taking these seats. And the warnings that have come from the likes of Usama Daktak have indicated to us that this is something that we're going to see more and more and more, the infiltration taking place. And as Linda Sarsour has indicated, we are not here to integrate, but rather they are there to make a statement, to take over and to force the Islamic way of life here upon communities and eventually the whole of the United States of America. That is very much evident at this time. One last story I would like to share with you here tonight on inFocus, and this came from Just the News. The headline tells us that President Trump says he will designate the Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist organization. President Trump told them Sunday he will designate Muslim Brotherhood as a foreign terrorist organization, saying it will be done in the strongest and most powerful terms. Final documents are being drawn. We see also Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, has recently done this in the state of Texas, and CARE is very much in arms in regard to this action that's being taken. But friends, these are critical times that we are facing as our nation right now, and we know that what happens in these elections is a reminder for us that our trust is not in chariots and horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord our God. We need to remember to be praying for those who are in authority over us, that we might lead a quiet and peaceable life in all godliness and honesty. Thank you for joining us here on TV30's inFocus program. We trust that you'll have a very blessed good evening. Good night.